Ladies and gentlemen, there he is. Look at the beard.
Oh yeah, that's the quarantine style.
Ah,
Hey,
that's a bit of a surprise. Good to see you, my
yeah,
friend. How are you?
I'm well. How are you, Kim?
Good, good, good. Logan Spruyt, number 12, joining us. Did I get the right number 12?
That's right, both yours.
Holy jeez. It's been a while. How are you? Give us a little update as to where you're at right now at this moment.
At this very moment, I'm in Calgary. I actually just got back today. Been on the road for a little bit, just trying to make the most of the time off, I guess.
Okay. A little bit of outdoor time then over the past few days, or what have you been up to here?
Yeah, actually, just a road trip over the past 30 days or so, the past month, and we just kind of went a big loop of Western Canada. So got to see a couple places I hadn't seen before, see some people I haven't seen in a while. So it's pretty cool.
Wow, good for you. So where all did you go? Give us the scope of this past month then.
The scope, I think too many to list or too many to remember, I should say. But we made it as far west as the west side of the island. So we went to Tofino and Ucluelet to do a little bit of surfing, and then we went as far north as Peace River in Alberta. So we clocked about 6,500 Ks in the last month or so.
Wow. That's awesome. That's amazing. All right, Logan, I got a whole bunch of questions here.
What's up?
Normally we start with a little small talk, but if it's okay with you, let's jump right in. And some of these questions you probably never imagined that you'd be asked, but hey, it's a chance for you to open up and we get to know you a little bit more. And this one isn't necessarily in your wheelhouse, but that's okay. Tomorrow, the province of Alberta is going to announce what back to school is going to look like this fall. If you are the education minister, what are your thoughts right now as far as back to school in the fall goes?
Well, that's tough, Kim, because I mean, I guess it depends too if you mean post-secondary versus elementary and whatnot. But it actually does hit kind of close to home for me. I mean, I'm graduated now as of this past fall, or sorry, this past April, I should say. But my sister Jenna, she has her last year of school and she's in education, so she might graduate with no time, in a classroom. So she kind of missed out on the whole practicum aspect.
Mm-hmm.
And as far as, middle school and high school, that definitely changes things. It's a shame high school sports. I know a lot of people that are just graduating now from high school and kind of miss their prom and miss their zones, I guess, and provincials for basketball. So it is a shame, but there's a lot to consider too, right? It's just a matter of how much you want to contain this thing. So,
Yep. Is your mom still an educator?
She was. So actually, she kind of got out at a good time for her. She's been teaching for a lot of years. So she just recently retired and she's loving it. And I know she is not a huge fan of technology like a lot of the young and up and coming teachers are. So
Yeah.
it would have been a little bit tough transition for her to get onto Zoom, as I'm sure it would be for a lot of the students in her class. So she kind of dipped out at the right time. Whereas my sister is trying to teach about the same grades that my mom was teaching. And she's like kind of born into the whole technology aspect. So she's better prepared.
Exactly. So over the past month then, with all your travels, I guess my question is this: are you a mask wearer? And what kind of precautions are you taking these days? Or are you one of these types that just are kind of the opinion that, hey, if it catches me, it catches me. I'll deal with that when it happens?
Yeah, you know what? It's been a little bit of a journey for me, like a little bit of a transition as well. Just because at the beginning, Calgary was kind of getting hit pretty hard and we were on lockdown. Especially my house, I have a couple of roommates and we were all, locked in, only kind of speaking with one another. And if we had to go get groceries or whatever, we'd wear a mask. And it's more than anything just because I'm paranoid to go back and visit my grandma. It's a weird situation that I'm in, just the age demographic. It's a blessing and a curse. Like, it's a blessing that I think I'm in a state where if I were to catch anything, I might be able to fight it. But it's a curse because I could catch anything and not even know, so I could be a carrier, and that's what I'm most afraid of. So I did actually get tested before I went back to MHHS, but I've been on the road for a little bit, so could have picked something up along the way. So I'll definitely get tested before I go and visit my grandma again.
And the testing isn't that bad, right? Was it the throat swab or did you get the one through the nose?
I got the one through the nose. I know some people who
Ooh.
had the throat swab or the cheek swab, and it sounded like a dream. Mine got shoved right up there. My eyes started watering immediately, but it really is not that bad. It's worth it for sure. It's not like a deterrent for getting tested by any means.
Okay, wait, like how far back? Like, could you
Like,
literally feel it under your eyes? Or what was that like?
Where I went, I went back as far as it could go, I think, which is farther than I ever knew. I've never had anything up there before, so
A lot further than digging for gold, right?
that's right.
All right. Which one of your former teammates would be the best reality TV star?
Uh,
And what kind of show would it be?
You know what? I think you might have the same answer I would, and I think that's Pietro. I just think it's kind of funny how he's the biggest dude I've ever met. He's six whatever he is, 6'8". Like sometimes he ranges, but probably around 250 or something like that, pushing 300. And he's just a hilarious dude. And he knows how to like kick people's ass. He knows Brazilian jiu-jitsu, but then at the same time, he's kind of a sweetheart and just jokes around all the time. So I think he'd be interesting. And man, just his day to day, like I try and follow him through, like I try and keep in touch when I can, but I'm pretty sure he's in Brazil right now. And it's just kind of a culture shock too. I mean, to see just a dude that big and that intimidating, just be rocking a Speedo and walking around the beach all the time. It's just different. I think it'd be interesting for sure.
After playing with him for as long as you did, what was your first reaction when you heard, after the season was done or a few months later, that he was getting into kickboxing or MMA? I mean, my reaction was, oh my goodness, I pity the fool that gets in the ring with that guy.
Oh, honestly, yeah. I actually went and watched a fight of his when some of the boys came to town and Pietro was fighting here in Calgary. But I wasn't surprised at all, to be honest, because he has a background in martial arts back home before he came here, and I've seen him do some pretty gnarly things even on the basketball court, some things that I wouldn't think would be allowed. He's a pretty tough guy, and I wasn't surprised, and I knew he'd do well, and I think he's crushing it. I was fortunate enough when I was in MHHS last to meet his trainer Kilkenny, and that guy's a big dude too. So I think he gives Pietro a run for his money every time, if not wins, right? So
Yep.
I think he's doing well.
Well, I mean, last time we talked, we had him on the vlog about a month ago, and I mean, yeah, we've known that he was in kickboxing, but getting into the octagon now against a guy like that, I mean, that's a completely different thing as well, right? Like he could rip your arms and legs off if he wanted to, I'm sure,
Oh, totally. Especially the
Yeah.
average human. I'm sure some of the guys he's been fighting, they've been training as well. But yeah, get just an average sized person in there with the average strength, and they're done for.
Exactly. All right. Somewhat of a related question, but not really. If life was like wrestling, what song would play every time you walked in the room, Logan?
Oh, like a walk-up song.
Yep.
In baseball. That's a good question. I mean, I don't know if any are in direct relation to my life, but I have a couple favorite songs. I would say one of mine is December 1963. I think that. Do you know the song? I'm sure you do.
Oh yeah, sure.
Yeah, I just think that one's groovy, and I just kind of like to listen to it personally. I don't care if other people want to listen to it, but it's kind of my tune.
That's awesome. Has there ever been a moment in your life that has completely defied all explanation, right?
Oh.
You look back and you're like, what happened there? Or just something that anything come to mind when I ask you that?
To be honest, not off the top of my head. I mean, there's a couple cool things that I've seen, but I think a lot of them I was kind of intending to see or preparing to see. And then there's a couple things that just like happen and you're like, wow, I never thought I'd see that. Or and like sometimes if you're fortunate enough to witness it with somebody, you'll kind of you'll have the chance to talk about it after. But I can't think of anything off the top of my head that's really revolutionary.
For example, when I was a kid, I think I saw a UFO. I think I did. I was playing with the dog and we were playing Frisbee, and I look up and I'm like, what is that? And it's like weird lights and stuff. And like, but now all these years later, I look back and I'm wondering like, maybe I was just dreaming. Maybe that whole thing was it was that long ago. So that's kind of, for me, that's the moment that defies explanation. I really don't know if it was real or not. You know what I mean?
Yeah, you look back and in hindsight, you just absolutely launched your glow-in-the-dark Frisbee and forgot about it.
That could be it. That totally could be it. All right, next question. By the way, Logan Spruyt is joining us right now. Men's basketball, 2 seasons with the Rattlers. Okay, have you ever had a close call that you look back on and you're amazed that you survived?
Yeah, actually, I've had a couple, probably more than I should. But to be honest, I do sometimes tend to do a little bit of reckless things, but I usually think of them as calculated risks, and I kind of am comfortable with it, especially since moving to Calgary, you have the mountains nearby. So it's a little bit more opportunity perhaps to get hurt. But yeah, I remember one hike. It was called East End of Rundle, and it was kind of right. The trailhead's kind of by Canmore, and I just remember thinking like the hike itself was fine. It was beautiful. We did it, at sunrise, and it was amazing. But then the group I was with was kind of chilling at the summit for quite a while, and I was like, oh, let's make the most of it. And I kind of tried to climb down, more of a boulder down, I guess you could say, more of a flat face. And I just remember I got down there, and then I looked down. I was like, damn, I should probably try and recover. Like I didn't even tell anyone I was coming over here. And it was more embarrassed. Like I didn't want to have to come and get saved from some helicopter. That would be an embarrassing story. I'd never live it down. So I tried to climb back up, and I just started breaking rocks off left and right. And that was the moment that I was like, I usually try and stay pretty composed, but that moment I was kind of like, all right, take a couple deep breaths. Like you better get here, or else. Like so. Eventually, I was able to climb a little bit to the side and get up. But I remember thinking I was probably the closest. And it's weird when you're aware of it in the moment too. You're like, in hindsight, you're like, wow. This could be it. let's work together. So I'd say that was probably the closest.
Crazy. That's something. All right. What is your irrational fear or something that completely freaks you out, even though you know that there's nothing dangerous about it? Is there anything? For me, grasshoppers and mice.
Grasshoppers.
Those are my big two. Yep.
I would say, I don't really think it's anything like that, like any critters. I usually like to welcome them or play with them. Maybe not like mice. I probably wouldn't want to play with that, or rats, but I wouldn't say necessarily scared. I think the thing that I'm most scared of is, especially now, COVID. Like I am kind of one of those people who was a little bit paranoid. Now things are starting to chill out and the vibe's starting to change. But I remember for a while, before I had come back to Medicine especially, it was very much a fear of mine, and I was very paranoid. So lots would say that is rational, but I know a lot of people too that are thinking that maybe some of the precautions, like wearing a mask, throwing on some extra hand sanitizer and stuff, is a little bit irrational. But to me, it's not. More so just because I would hate to pass it on to someone that I cared about and deal with the consequences there.
Well, the fact is, there were a lot of people that thought that we were in an end of world scenario.
Totally.
Right? There were a lot. And I mean, I think all of us kind of thought that for a while. We weren't sure, right? So.
No, definitely. And that's kind of any novel virus or novel anything. It's like there's no precedent set. So it's kind of, you're just figuring things out as you go, right? It's kind of the situation at the end.
All right. Here's the one that'll strike close to home.
All right.
As a twin, what is it like? Can you really feel their pain, or have you ever felt almost like a telepathic connection?
You know what? No, nothing like you can communicate and send messages, although I wish that would be true. But when we were younger and we were living in the same house, Jenna and I, before, we kind of all split up for university and things. But when we were growing up, Jenna doesn't listen to too much music, and I used to jam pretty hard, but just randomly throughout the day, we both just start singing the same part of the same song at the exact same time. And I'd hear it from like some other part of the house, and I would think it was an echo or something. And then Jenna and I would run up to each other and be like, hey, that was weird. And we'd be like, yeah. And then the next day it would happen again. So that kind of happened. I don't know if that was a coincidence or if we just, listened to the same tunes, but yeah, that was, I guess, the closest that we've gotten to telepathy.
So no feeling each other's pain, nothing like that.
No, I think that's probably good for me because she's torn her ACL, broken her leg, and she's just kind of a Band-Aid on, she's a walking Band-Aid. So
oh my goodness,
for me if I had to deal with my own and hers.
Yeah. Logan, what 3 character traits do you feel are the most important in order to be successful in life?
In life?
The 3 most important traits that you think are essential just to be a good person and to be successful.
Well, for one, I think definitely adaptability, now more than ever, just kind of being able to adapt without, trying to be stubborn about it and things like that. Kind of just go with the flow in a sense and try and be successful in whatever it throws at you. And then I think just kind of likability and humor. I think that goes a long way, just being in a positive mindset and trying to lighten the mood, even if it's, sometimes self-degrading humor or aimless when it comes to just making jokes. I found that is definitely one thing. And then, I don't know, I guess maybe just willingness to learn. I know a lot of people are kind of I guess, polarized in their opinions and pretty opinionated. And I think nowadays there's so many things that people are opinionated on, especially on politics. So I think sometimes people kind of get, whether it's born into a certain idealism or they kind of learn it and stick with it. I think it's important to be a little bit open-minded and learn about everything you can, as well as with, you know, learning to progress in a professional setting and things like that. So,
is there a trait that you wish you had more of? That you're just like, dang it, I don't have that certain thing that I know other people have. I wish I had that.
Yeah, memory. To be honest, I know that's not really a character trait and something you can change, but I'm pretty forgetful sometimes, especially not so much on the day to day. But I know, especially in regards to basketball, some guys will be like, "Oh, do you remember this game at this moment when this happened?" And I'd be like, "No, like it was all kind of a blur. It was really fun, and I enjoy it, and I remember the broad, like kind of the high level seasons and games and so on." But memory is something that kind of fails me sometimes that I wish I was a little bit better at.
Yeah. So we had your sister on last week, and I asked her, I said, you know, when you guys are sitting at the Christmas dinner table and you really want to get under his skin and just tease him or bug him about something, what is that one thing that you can tease him or bug him about that will instantly set Logan off? Instantly set him off. I don't know if you caught that question when I asked her that.
I caught that, and to be honest, Kim, I think she was kind of grasping for straws at that one. So I don't really think she, not that she, I'm sure she would get under my skin if she tried hard enough, but I'm not sure if she you know, to be honest, we don't see each other too much anymore, so it's kind of a little bit of a rare occasion when she comes to Calgary when I go to the Okanagan, and we try and make the most of it. But I do think as far as getting under each other's skin, it's a little bit of a one-way street. I think under hers just mostly by accident, to be honest. But we do try and make the most of it and try and have the best time we can without really bugging people.
Well, what for those just who didn't have a chance to see it, I asked her, how do you get under Logan's skin, and she said something about, I just tease him about being a hardcore capitalist. A red, white, and blue capitalist guy. And of course, I guess that meant that she's like some kind of lefty tree hugger. I don't know. I guess that's kind of what she was referring to, I suppose.
Yeah, I definitely, I mean, yeah, I don't think she communicated what she meant, because I wouldn't say that at all. Like most of my friends especially from Calgary, where the economy is oil and gas, and even Medicine Hat are, you know, very conservative in their values, especially when it comes to economics. But for me, I think I do tend to piss people off, maybe Jade included, just with a little bit of indifference sometimes. I usually, my opinions aren't very polarized, whereas Jade's are, right? So she's working with her, and she's living out in BC, and she's, you know, an ecologist and a master of science. So she's very polarized, whereas I'm not. And I like I said, like to ask questions and kind of probe and sometimes challenge, just to get under, to get to the bottom of, you know, what exactly she's thinking. So I would say we're all a little bit on the environmental side or whatever, but I wouldn't say that I'm, you know, all red, white, blue all the time.
No shooting guns, drinking beer, none of that.
Maybe if I'm lucky, I'll do both. But
okay, good.
I want that to be a representation of.
All right, I'm going to give you a few of your teammate names, and I need one word that comes to mind. Just one word for every teammate. Abdi Suleiman.
Oh, beauty. Old. That's two words. But.
Vince Munoz.
Vince? Oh, chest. That guy is he only worked out his chest.
Guy Fuki.
Serious. He's pretty he's Mr. Serious. Every once in a while he'll joke around, but when he jokes around, it's kind of like when you're joking with your dad, you know.
It's pretty dry.
He and I are pretty tight, but
good. Pietro.
Kind of I guess like a goof maybe, or maybe like drama, not necessarily in a bad way, but just there's always something going on. Like you can watch that guy, and like I said, reality show, like you can watch that guy, and every day there's something new, something to chat about.
Is it safe to say, being someone on his team, is it safe to say that he probably could have been the most despised player in the league when you played with him? I mean, it sure felt that way, just kind of watching the other teams interact or not interact with him. You know what I mean?
Yeah, he definitely wasn't the most hated player on our team. And as far as what the league thought. I can't speak on behalf of them, but it's kind of it's one of those things where like he is a powerhouse. He was really good, and I wouldn't want to. I mean, I did defend him most practices, but I wouldn't want to be on the other team when he's in full swing, right? And also he does. He likes to talk and he likes to get under people's skin, but I wouldn't necessarily say he's the most despised. I know there were a couple guys on the other teams that we really didn't like, and when we let him know, so I'm sure hated them just as much as we did.
All right. Here's a name you probably haven't heard in a while. Salisu Abdulkader.
Sal, yep.
Yep. Give me your words.
Say something about him. I forgot we were still playing this. I would say tough. Like that guy, he's a tough guy. I had the chance to chat with him a couple times, and I was trying to visit him in Toronto. Fortunately, our schedules didn't match up, but yeah, he was tough, and he was a tough competitor. Fierce maybe is a better word. Like it's hard to say if I've ever played with someone that wanted to win and at whatever cost is Sal. So he's a tough guy.
He made an impact.
For sure.
The 1 year, big impact. We'll fire these off nice and quick. Michael Grohl.
Farmer, rancher.
Colin Rolko.
Leader.
Michael Farion.
I would say just skilled, very skilled.
Okay. Jamel Slack.
Hops. Biggest bounce I've ever seen. Or him and I don't know if you're going to say Jordan Winter next, but those two guys are competing for some of the best dunkers I've ever seen.
Awesome. Jared Wenzel.
Just goon. Goony guy.
Well, entertaining anyway, that's for sure, right?
Entertaining. Yeah.
All right, everyone. We've got Logan Spruyt joining us here right now. Number 12, men's basketball for 2 seasons. Show and tell time. Everyone always has to bring something that has that like deep personal meaning or a really cool story attached to it. I turn it over to you.
Yeah, so I guess I'll show you. I have a little bit of a wall of longboards and such, and that's just kind of a hobby, I guess, that myself and some of my buddies have been picking up come quarantine, just because it's a good way to hang out while you're social distancing and explore, especially in Calgary. And fun facts, Calgary just became the other day the city with the longest spanning urban pathway in North America. So there's definitely a lot of path to cruise on, just some of them.
Look at that, hey? That's amazing. That blue and red one, I think it's kind of bright here. So
it's not part of the longboard wall, but it's just
okay.
surfboard. And there's actually there's a standing wave in Calgary here and out in Kananaskis where you can you can surf in the river just on a little shortboard, and the water moves and then you stay in the same spot pretty much. So so we're trying to get some use out of that. Well, we still have some nice weather.
Yep. How did you start taking up that hobby? It sounds very interesting.
Longboarding or
yeah, longboarding.
Well, to be honest, growing up, we, like myself and Jenna, my sister, we kind of always just grew up with stuff, whatever we could find that had wheels on it. We'd try and ride it down the hill, or we'd skateboard around, and we'd explore Medicine Hat. So it's kind of we always did it, and we always did it when I'd go to California. Some of the Fisher boys that also used to be Rattlers live down there now, so we'd always do it. And then you come to Calgary, and there's a lot to explore. So that's kind of how it came to be, I guess.
Mm-hmm. Is it easier than regular skateboarding? Like what are some of the key differences between the two?
To be honest, it's kind of similar. I would just say, well, skateboarding, like there's a lot of people out there that are really good, and skateboarding is more focused, I guess, on tricks and things, whereas longboarding has these big fat tires and there are big fat wheels, and it's easy to turn. So it's more just for cruising around. It's just a little bit more my speed.
Good. That's awesome. That's great. All right. A question we always like to ask is how was your basketball career at the college? How did that set you up for future success? And looking back, what are some of the valuable things that you think that you're gleaning from that experience?
Totally. So yeah, when I was at Medicine Hat College, I was one of the only locals, and I was one of the only rookies, right? So I was one of the few young ones on the team by a long shot. Our average age, I think we calculated it once, and for one of the seasons, I should say, we were older than the Los Angeles Lakers. So it was a very old team. You get some of those guys that are coming out of retirement, you could say. And then there's me coming straight out of high school. So I would say one of the skills that I learned to do really well is kind of be a mediator or a liaison. And it's just kind of a role that I fell into between the team and the community when I could, just because, you know, I've lived there my whole life, whereas a lot of those guys had never lived anywhere but big cities like, you know, Toronto, Vancouver, Vegas. I don't know what the cities are like in Brazil, but I imagine they're a little bit different than small town Manhattan. So that was kind of a role that I came into. And then it's also a little bit of a mediator between the team and some of the other players, right? Just because a lot of the guys, you know, may have came from different backgrounds, as did I, but I kind of tried to be the one to, you know, go and get you know, personal relationships with everybody, and then kind of be the mediator and try and you know, get the team together a little bit whenever I got the chance. So I'd say that that's helped a lot, even in school and moving into a professional setting, just because people tend to work in teams nowadays, especially in business. So I try and be one of those people that kind of is able to get along with a lot of people and be the mediator in a sense.
Exactly. Now, I wasn't necessarily going to ask, but I see that he's watching this right now. Chad Watson from over at Hat High. Talk a
Yeah.
little bit about your high school career playing for the Mohawks and what that was like. By the way, did you play in the new gym after the renovations, or was that kind of the end of the era for you?
No, I was in the old one with the yellow tinge, but it was really cool. I'm glad that I got out of there before the construction happened, because that would have been a tough season, and then afterwards it would have been beautiful. But I got to witness a little bit of history there, so that was cool as well. But yeah, Chad is a really good friend of mine, and we always chat and get some beers when I come back to Medicine Hat. He actually just texted me. I didn't get a chance to read the whole thing, but it said something like, "Hey, I'm watching, don't screw up." So I knew he was good. But yeah, no, it was amazing. And a Rattler alum himself, so him and our assistant coach, Mike Rasmussen at the time, those two were extraordinary leaders and really good for kind of molding me into, I guess, the person I came to be by the time I hit Medicine Hat College. And it was cool having them. You know, they were always at the college games regardless of whether or not I was playing. So it was kind of cool to have them come and when I was actually there as a Rattler, to have them, you know, supporting. So it was really cool. And same with Rich, to be honest. I was actually planning on, everything was kind of up in the air. I don't know if you remember, for a little bit before my second season, and Rich took over, and he kind of also had been one of those guys that was a big influence in the Medicine Hat basketball community. So when I heard he was taking over as the head coach, I was pretty excited to stick around and play for him another year as well.
Awesome. That's so cool. All right. Hey, thanks so much for joining us here tonight. We appreciate your time, and all the best this summer. For those that aren't aware, give us just a quick little update career-wise, where you're at these days. Are you finished university now, and what's the next step for you?
Yeah. So I just finished university this last semester. It took me 5 years. I did 2 years at Medicine Hat College, and then I did 3 years at University of Calgary. And yeah, starting come September, but yeah, I mean, who knows with COVID, the start date might get delayed a bit, but I'll be starting at a company called Deloitte, and I'll be doing management consulting in the strategy group. So I'll be working mostly with mergers and acquisitions. So kind of advising, I guess, companies on how to buy one another and integrate.
That actually does sound like a lot of fun. Is
Yeah.
it fun for you, or is it just a career path that you're just not really sure where it's going to go, but you're enjoying the ride?
Yeah, I mean, to be honest, I think both of those things kind of represent, I guess, where I'm at, just because I have been very fortunate. I took a finance degree, and I thought at first about going into investment banking, but that's, you know, a little bit of a wild lifestyle, and it's pretty busy for a couple of years. So I definitely thought about that, but I think consulting is kind of an area that's a good fit for me. A lot of versatility and a lot of variation in what you're working with. So I was pretty excited about that, but I have been really fortunate, kind of, I guess, a domino effect in a sense of I do one thing and then another opportunity comes up and another one comes my way. So I kind of fell into this career path. But that being said, I definitely do enjoy it so far, everything that I've been involved in. So it's kind of like things pop up, and I don't know if I'm just able to make the most of it, but I do really enjoy everything that I've done thus far. So looking back, I think so far my education kind of went as well as it could have in my eyes.
Well, they say good things happen to good people, and it sounds like you got lots of great things happening for you. So, Logan, all the best. Thank you so much. And you know what? When this is all said and done, I can't wait to see you back in town here and checking out a few games of men's basketball with the Rattlers of the future.
You bet, Kim. Yeah, I'm looking forward to it. Thanks for having me.
All right. Take care. See you soon.
All right. Bye.
All right, there he goes. Logan Spruyt right there. 2 seasons with the Rattlers, a real exciting era that he was with the team, and just a lot of fun to watch back in his time as a Medicine Hat College Rattler. Guys, that's it for tonight. Have yourself an incredible evening. We've got guests coming up all this week, and so every night this time we're going to be here hanging out with Rattlers, past and present coaches, just whoever else we can get lined up. So if you are a Rattler alumni or a current player, we'd love it if you reach out to Patrick, just send him a text, let him know, hey, I'll come on. It's all good. We'll share some stories. We'll talk about, my time as a Rattler. That would be awesome. So there you go. On behalf of Logan, Spruyt, have a great night, and we'll see you here tomorrow.